Hey, thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and happy Halloween. Well, yesterday we were dressed in our Halloween costumes. Today we are not, but we are still giving you that Halloween and trick-or-treating forecast. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Tell us where you're watching from today. Are you watching from Oklahoma, Texas, farther up to the north where we will get rain? We'll talk about it. All right, we have a spooktacular Halloween forecast for you. Who's going to need an umbrella and when will you need that umbrella? We'll talk about that as well. And great news, something that I am absolutely looking forward to is that we get one more hour of sleep this weekend. However, that of course comes with those earlier sunsets as well, earlier sunrises as well. So we'll talk about that and all the things that you need to do for your fall back, daylight saving time ending. Hey, take a look at this. Watch the spin of this low pressure system here. It brought a little bit of rain over the last few days to the central and the northeastern portion of the U.S. Watch this low pressure system here. Oh, I love to see that right there. Now we still have some rain that's lingering across the northeastern portion of the U.S. for today. Now who's gonna need their jacket today? Who's gonna need that raincoat? Definitely all of those in New England. You will probably need that raincoat for not only today, but potentially for tomorrow. There's that low pressure system still spinning on the northeastern portion of the U.S., Canada area. It's exiting the U.S. right now. We've got another very, very weak low pressure system that's got a cold front extending from it all the way down into the central plains. Now this is going to be important because we didn't see a ton of rain in the forecast yesterday. However, we're seeing those rain chances increase in places like Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas for your Halloween night. So later on tonight, we could get some rain in these areas thanks to this cold front, and we'll talk about that here, a little bit more here in just a few minutes. Let's go ahead and talk about that rain right now. There's your low pressure system up in New England, dry out in the southeast, some gorgeous weather down there. We even have some light showers and some snow mixing into places like Minneapolis right now. Moving on, let's talk about your severe risk for today. Well, it's more Halloween and less Hail-O-Ween, if I'm being honest. Yes, we don't have a ton of severe weather expected for today or tomorrow. We're pretty quiet in that severe weather category for today. No significant hail expected. If we do see anything, it'll probably be smaller than the size of a quarter. So pocket change hail is all that we expect for today and tomorrow, if anything at all. But I want to talk about the rain chances now. Snow chances as well as you head farther up to the north. You can see that snow trying to mix in to places like North and South Dakota and Minnesota. There's that rain that's coming into the central portion of the U.S. late tonight, so it's probably going to be a light rain. Most likely no severe with this. Actually, most likely no convection at all, which means most likely no lightning and no thunder with this either. No spooky weather for us today, but it may be a reason to head inside a little bit early or maybe just keep an eye on the radar in case you don't want to get your hair wet. I really don't think we're going to get a ton of rain from this, but of course it's possible. There you go. It's going to be a cold rain too, so it's going to be very, 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 very chilly after this rain moves off to the southeast. Moving on now, let's go ahead and talk about other places that are getting rain today. You can see all of that rain up in the northeast, and then we've also got rain moving into the northwest. So what we see here is we're seeing a lot more activity up in our northwestern states here. We've got Washington and Oregon, especially right along the coast, are expecting those showers in not only rain, but also in snow. So we've got some cooler weather moving in these areas as well. So it could be a rainy Halloween for some of us. Let's go ahead and take a look at the severe outlook here. Friday, Saturday, we have a marginal risk down in the Houston area on Saturday. Other than that, we're going to be severe clear across the entire U.S. this weekend. Moving on, let's go ahead and take a look at our Atlantic view here. Melissa? That does not look like a hurricane to me. It's very, very disorganized now, especially as it moves into the upper latitudes. What often happens with these hurricanes is they start to expand, and without that tight rotation at the core, it does get more disorganized, and with that disorganization, it's a weaker storm as well. So there's Melissa right now, a low pressure system sitting at 973. Honestly, still kind of impressive there. Moving fast, man, it's trucking northeast at 48 miles an hour. Holy moly, that is a fast-moving storm. So it's going to continue to move up to the north, and it's not going to bring too much havoc anymore. Now, Melissa was, I think, our 14th named storm this year. Nestor is next. We still have about 30 more days of hurricane season, so we'll see if we could get another storm or two out of those 30 days. But we have hit average for this hurricane season. It was right about average. Everyone said it was a really slow start, and it was. And then we really picked up in portions of October. We saw a lot of activity. So we have 30 more days. We'll see what happens over those next few days. But I want to move on. Let's bring you back on land now. Let's bring you to that trick-or-treating forecast. For most of us this evening, temperatures are going to be right about average, if not slightly cooler than average. And it's going to be dry for most. So we're not too worried about that rain unless you're in the northern corners of the U.S. or if you're out late tonight, right in the central portion of the states. So what we're watching for here is Kansas, Oklahoma, portions of Texas, Arkansas, and Missouri, with maybe some light rain after about 9 or 10 o'clock tonight. Other than that, you're going to see a big significant difference in temperatures tomorrow morning as this cold air continues to move down to the south. We've got below average temperatures on Saturday, but warming up by the end of the weekend. You can see those warmer temperatures moving in as we head into the end of the weekend, Sunday into Monday. Let's go ahead and talk about hour-by-hour temperatures here. We've got the 40s in Denver for your trick-or-treating tonight, 58 in Kansas City, 64 for your temperatures in Oklahoma City, and then it gets really cold. There's all of that cold air coming in behind that cold front. As we wake up tomorrow morning, we could see temperatures very, very chilly. I think that some of us actually have a frost advisory. I think that's correct. Maybe that was for today. We're going to double check on that. Right in this area, in places like Tulsa and Kansas. That's what we're going to check on in just a minute. Ooh, look at that, 32, hitting right at freezing in Kansas City on Sunday morning. So we absolutely have these cooler temperatures moving in.
Frost advisory.
Frost advisory, and is that for tomorrow morning?
I believe so.
It is for tomorrow morning. Okay, so some of us in a frost advisory for tomorrow morning, but before it gets cool, I know that you guys are headed out trick-or-treating, so let's go ahead and take a look at your trick-or-treating forecast in Dallas, Texas. 68 by 5 o'clock, so you're getting the kids all dressed up. It doesn't feel too bad out there, very fall-like. Maybe getting a little chilly as we head into the evening hours. 7 o'clock at 65 and 60 degrees at 9 o'clock, but the great news here is that we don't have any rain in the forecast. Denver, Colorado, your high today is 56, so as we mentioned earlier, you may be in the 40s by the time you head out trick-or-treating. Again, for rain chances, we're going to stay pretty dry through the weekend for the most part, other than just a few sprinkles right in the central portion of this U.S.
While you're talking about rain.
Perfect. Flight girl at CT Tracker. I really tried to. ATC Tracker? All right, moving on to your question here. Do you know how long it's going to rain tonight? I'm going trick-or-treating. Where are you at? Where are you located? Because if you're talking about most of the U.S., no rain tonight, especially for trick-or-treating. By the time you're done trick-or-treating, maybe a few sprinkles. Now, if you're up in the northwest, it's going to rain for probably all night long. And if you're out in the northeast, it'll probably rain for most of the night as well. So you guys, you need your rain jackets. The rest of the U.S., you guys are going to be dry. Let's go ahead and take a look at those day-by-day rain chances. You can see that today is our only day that we're watching for isolated flash flooding. Other than that, what we're watching for is just a few light showers in places like Tennessee. You're going to see some rain down in Houston for tomorrow, and then we've also got rain along the coasts. But for the middle of the U.S., we stay mostly dry. Other than a few sprinkles later on tonight, it is pretty dry right through the central portion of the U.S. over the next 5 days. So not just this weekend, but through a good portion of next week as well. There's Tuesday, there's Wednesday. So let's move on here. I'm going to bring in our meteorologist, Michaela Smith. Michaela is going to talk about daylight saving time and how many of us are getting, or all of us except for Arizona, are getting an extra hour of sleep this weekend. Michaela, I will pass it off to you. Tell us what we can expect this weekend and all the way through December as the days get shorter.
Oh yeah, things are kind of excited. I at least am very excited about the fact that we get that extra hour. If anyone feels like they haven't been able to catch up recently, this weekend is for you. But this is going to happen Saturday night going into Sunday, so we are going to fall back. That's what a lot of people say when daylight saving time comes to an end, because as you mentioned earlier, Taylor, those sunrises are earlier in the morning, but so are those sunsets in the evening. So if you're someone like Taylor, who is more of a night owl, this is maybe not the most ideal time of year.
This is a tough time of year for me, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm a morning person, so I like that the sun is like up earlier when I'm driving into work and doing other things. Like I like to get to enjoy the sunrise. So I'm excited, but I can understand, for people who are more of a night owl, those 5 o'clock sunsets or, 4 o'clock sunsets in some places, they're early.
I walk out of work and it's already dark outside. I haven't seen the sunshine all day. I'm glad that we have a window in our office. I can say that. I'm very grateful for that. But I'll let you talk about daylight saving time. I'll let you take it away.
Absolutely. So daylight saving time comes to an end this Sunday, November 2nd. You're going to turn those clocks back right at 2 a.m. So when it hits 2 a.m., if you're up somehow, night owl like Taylor, you'll actually see it revert back to 1 o'clock. So there's that extra hour that you're going to have to sleep. And this is always a great time of year to remind yourself to test those smoke alarms. So if you do have, those actually working in your house and they're not beeping or other things, I know in my house some of them are actually turned off. This is when you want to make sure that they're good. The batteries are checked, that they actually do work, so that if you were to have an emergency, it's just a good reminder twice a year to always check on those. And sometimes you can call your local fire department too if you're wondering about your smoke alarm, if it maybe is working or not, and they'll come actually out to your house. So you're going to see that sun sets a little bit earlier, sunrises are going to be earlier, and there's what we talked about earlier. So right at 2 a.m., you're going to see that clock jump back to 1 a.m. I want to show you just kind of these monthly daylight changes though, as we've been going, seeing the daylight increasing as we were in the springtime, a lot of pluses on here. Then you get closer to summer and we have that summer solstice. You don't really see a big change. Since the summer solstice, every day, if you didn't notice, you were actually losing quite a bit of daylight. Here's July's numbers, August's numbers, September, you really see a big change. Check out areas to the north closer to Canada. You lost 100 minutes of daylight just in September. Now here we are in October, pretty similar actually. So for us in here in Oklahoma, sitting at about 60 minutes, so around an hour that we lost just from the start of October to now. But you can see again, as you go more towards the north, it's a pretty drastic change in September and October. Once we go into next month, so starting tomorrow with November 1st, you're still going to lose some daylight. Areas to the north closer to Canada, you're still over an hour of daylight lost. Here in the plains, 50 to 40 minutes. Further down to the south you go and get closer to the equator, you're not losing as much time, but still about 30 minutes. Then you get to December and you really don't see a change. Very similar to the summertime, it's because we get to that solstice, but this one will be the winter solstice. So in December, areas to the north, you may lose right around 10 minutes. Really, for most of us in the US, it's a less than 10-minute loss that we're talking about as we go into December, because we get to that winter solstice. So obviously, the Earth is constantly going around the sun. And that gives us our different seasons. You have the winter solstice that's coming up. Right now, we just had the autumnal equinox, and then we're right in between moving towards the winter solstice. After that, we'll start heading towards the vernal equinox, which is start of spring. And then that summer solstice is complete opposite for us here in the winter. But with the winter solstice, it is the shortest day of the year. So the winter solstice officially will be on December 21st this year at 9:03 a.m. Central Time. So depending on where you're located, you can add or maybe subtract a few hours. And the word solstice comes from sol, obviously being sun, and then cistern, which is to stand still. So it's going to be where that sun location is. It gives us the first official day of winter, but it happens for us here in the northern hemisphere as the first official day of winter because the North Pole is actually tilted the furthest away from the sun that it possibly could be. But it's the opposite if you're in the southern hemisphere. It's your first day of summer because you're going to be a little bit closer to the sun. And then it's flipped. In summer, we're closer to the sun at that point in time, and that's when they start their winter. So it's the shortest day of the year. Here in kind of the mid-US, that means your day is going to be about 9 hours and 45 minutes. You're losing about 7 hours of daylight compared to summertime. It's a big change, seeing that daylight hours. And then days gradually will start to get longer though, once we get to the winter solstice, because again, that's the shortest day of the year. So then every day after that, we start to add hours back in as we get a little bit closer to summertime, which is pretty exciting, to know about. So Taylor, I am excited that we are gaining our hour, but that also we're getting closer to that shortest day of the year, now that we're almost in November. we're almost there, which means our daylight starts to come back at that point. So for people who enjoy more sunshine, you don't have that much further to go before it's officially the shortest day of the year, and then we just get to start seeing the pluses back. Each and every day we get a little bit more.
That's an exciting time for me because I get, you know, those later sunsets. I get to be outside a little bit more, but then it's still cold outside, you know, so you're like in February, oh, it's a 6 o'clock sunset, but I don't want to go enjoy it because it's freezing out there. I do have to tell a funny story about daylight saving time. So Michaela and I both used to work the early morning shift back at a news station. And I woke up one time for my 2 o'clock alarm, or 1:30 alarm, and to be there at 2. And I had to think to myself, is this the first 1:30 or the second 1:30? I was like, what time is it?
Am I late to work right now, or am I really early?
It was always so confusing to work that shift because I was like, I truly don't know what time it is, and you kind of lose an hour in there.
But then it's fun too if you're working that shift because you get to enjoy that first 6 a.m. sunrise, and it's like you're there, you're already up in the morning, and you get to watch the sun come up, and everybody else is still probably sleeping.
Yeah.
At least you get to see the first one.
I like that mentality. That's very optimistic.
You get the first. I'll hand this back to you, Taylor.
Yes, thank you for joining us today with our daylight saving time. Well, she talked about summer, you know, how everything is flipped as we go into summer. I know this graphic looks a lot like summer. What you're looking at here is temperatures that are above average for this time of the year, or the likelihood to be above average. Basically what that means is these reds, they don't mean 90. No, they mean temperatures above average. So if your average this time of the year in Denver is 62, you have a really good chance to be above average, maybe at 65, 66, 67 as we head into the next week. So we're talking about November 5th through the 9th here. What about our wet weather? Well, it's staying out to the west. It looks like we will go into a drier pattern as we head into that first or second week of November as well. This concerns me, this warm and dry weather concerns me for our fire concerns. So just keep an eye on that as we head into that first week of November. Over the next 7 to 10 days, we could see those fire concerns come back into the picture. And there's your forecast today. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you hopping on for your Halloween or Hail-O-Ween forecast today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox. You heard from meteorologist Michaela Smith as well. We're posting more about the forecast, more and more, on our social media pages. So we like to have a lot of fun, but we also get very serious whenever there's severe weather in the forecast. Follow us for both of that content on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And for all of your hail, wind, and tornado maps, give us a call at 855-334-4245 or email us at info@hailtrace.com. This time of year, when the weather is quiet, is the perfect time of year to go rework some of those areas that got hit earlier in the year. Go back and rework some of those areas that got hit back in May and June. This is the perfect time to go ahead and check those maps from that time period in the early portion of the summer. But give us a call if you're interested in a hail, wind, or tornado map, and we'll see you guys back here, same time, same place for your forecast on Monday.